All right, friends, let's get to it. Today we will be talking about marketing and sales. All right, you finally got to this part. You've gone through the proper planning and design stages for your facility, and you've located a proper site that meets all the necessary requirements. You've gotten all stakeholders on board. You've passed legal, policy, and regulatory hurdles that needed to be met, and you've properly constructed that facility pursuant to the planning and design. The site or the facility now has the proper systems for HVAC, interior and exterior systems, et cetera, et cetera. Your facility is operating within normal parameters using proper established business practices within the industry. You've established a facility management regime, and now you finally got to the point where you're good to go, right? So you're expecting that everyone will be lining up, knocking the doors down. There's nothing you need to do. If you build it, they will come. Well, that might not necessarily be the case because even if you've done everything right, that demand may not be there for your facility. So this is where marketing and sales come into play. And marketing and sales is incredibly important because this will help drive revenues through consumers to your facility. And marketing is really about packaging the product or service in a way that is going to stimulate the necessary demand and revenues for that facility. It's making sure that people are at the right place at the right time and that they are buying at the right price. So, in order to establish a proper environment, it's important for sport facility managers or sport marketers to have the proper marketing mix, which we'll talk about very shortly. But before we even get that far, it's important to understand that the customer is going to be your most valuable asset because without customers, without those revenues that customers drive, your facility is not going to be successful. And quality, emphasizing quality, can be a successful competitive strategy. If you are a business that is known for its quality and its goods or services, then that creates goodwill in good word of mouth marketing, and that is incredibly valuable. And at the end of the day, kind of flowing into that, all businesses are service business, meaning that they're providing some sort of benefit to the customer. And it is important to understand that we need to exceed the expectations of customers in order to be successful. So that experience here could be in sport the joy of attending a game or enjoying the facility itself, having some sort of experience that makes it incredibly memorable. So, in order to properly plan and execute a facility's pricing, promotion, and otherwise distribution strategy, it's incumbent on that facility manager to have the types of ideas in goods and services that will satisfy anyone who is actually going to that game. We want to minimize the potential for buyer's remorse. At the end of the day, the facility manager is really just selling the experience of that game or within that facility. So that's something that we'll come back to. In terms of the 4 Ps, we're talking about product, place, price, and promotion. And with product, what we're talking about is the actual event itself versus the experience. The place is either how are you going to get people to come to that facility. The price is going to be dependent on the perceived value of the good or service that you're offering. And promotion is really a whole bunch of different elements. It's going to be advertising, personal selling, publicity, sales promotion, and public relations to help drive demand for your good or service. And of course, the variables within the 4 Ps can go all the way up to 11 Ps, but we're really going to only concentrate on a few that make up that target market that we're interested in pursuing here. So let's jump right into it. Let's talk about product. Product is really what the business, the facility, is offering customers, and it could be a good or a service or even an idea. But if it's a good or service, really what we're looking at here is something that's perishable, it's intangible. When you go to experience a game, you're basically not able to touch it. It's something that you view, and once it's gone, it's gone. It cannot be stored. So if you buy a vehicle, then you actually can get in it and drive it. And it has a specific shelf life, a matter of years, hopefully if it's not a lemon. But if you buy a ticket to attend a football game, the Florida versus Georgia football game, or maybe Texas A&M versus Alabama in football, you're buying that experience, that memory, and it is going to have a finite shelf life. It's going to be gone within a matter of hours, but maybe the memory can live on for greater. But it's going to be heterogeneous. People's experience is going to differ from person to person, and it's going to be dependent on the person's unique characteristics, their passion, and what they actually bring to that experience in terms of friendships or other unique qualities. So that is something that makes the product unique from, say, a traditional good. And some people might come for the actual football itself, but others might come for the product extensions, the sizzle, as the text calls it. They might come there for not to see the game entirely, but maybe the cheerleaders or the promotions or maybe the tailgating aspect. And that's the product. It can be more than just the game on the field. Place is going to refer to where the service or product is taking place or sold or distributed. And the typical distribution place is going to be where the consumer can either consume this good or service or pick it up. And it could also refer to how the product is actually reached by the consumer and that process by which that occurs. So, sports products are going to be different depending on whether it's a game or a service, et cetera, et cetera. The delivery of the sport experience can differ also depending on the stadium or arena. It could be a new arena with all the bells and whistles to enhance the experience, or it could be a very Spartan experience, depending on the accommodations. Price is really the um, the value that is placed on that experience, and price is an element that is calculated using different variables. Of course, we can think about price by how much cash or value is given in exchange for that right that's symbolized by that ticket. But really, it's a perceived notion of the benefit of that product. And price is continuously being examined. It's always going to change based on what the marketplace believes is par value. If someone believes that the cost of a ticket is too high for what that ticket symbolizes, perhaps a game to the local minor league baseball team, then someone's not going to buy it and maybe instead use that money for a different reason, maybe to go to the movies or to go get a nice meal. But if it's perceived to be too low, that also could cut against value because they might think it's not worth it to go because the perceived benefit is too low. So that is why the price is always in fluctuation. Would you pay 50 cents for a Coke or $5 for a Coke? And if so, is there a difference in the perceived value of that Coke? So it's not always the same. Promotion is really a mix of communications and activities that inform and persuade consumers to engage in the sport experience. It's going to be a mix of different elements. It could be advertising, it could be personal selling, it could be sales promotions, public relations, and sponsorships. So this different mix really can be um, pretty advanced. Now, with advertising, there's traditionally two objectives: to encourage consumers to purchase a product or to try to push a product out into the world. Now, this advertisements could be accomplished through different media, newspapers, magazines, television, radio, internet, and it might differ depending on the type of sport. Um, Publicity is also important because this is really trying to communicate with the public and try to show that your product is worthy. Now, the textbook highlights word of mouth advertising because that could be invaluable. It's free advertising. But if someone has a bad experience, that word of mouth advertising can be flipped on its head and can become very costly. The text mentions that those who are happy with an experience will traditionally tell two people about that experience. However, if someone is unhappy with their experience, they will tell 10 people about how poor their experience was. So this is certainly a double-edged sword. In terms of the marketing process, it's important to understand that a core aspect of marketing is identifying customers and trying to reach them based on who the core demographic is. So depending on the business, if it's a CrossFit gym or if it's a ice hockey arena that sells ice hockey tickets, how you identify who your core market is going to differ potentially. And this is where market segmentation is going to come into play. And market segmentation is the process of examining who might be interested in purchasing your product or service. And you look at different aspects through research and positioning. So you look to see what those demographics would be based on maybe segmenting by age or sex or race or national origin. And we also potentially look at, in addition to demographics, psychographics, looking at what people's thoughts and interests might be, or what they're looking to get out of that good or service, if they're looking to escape the drudgery of their everyday life, or if they are looking for high-paced competitive sport, or if they're maybe looking just for a fun way to go eat food at a local concession stand. So psychographics and benefit segmentation, uh, demographics, and then geographics, which are going to be looking at where they live and where they do business, are going to impact the research of an organization through these various subgroups. And this little graphic shows that it also would apply to the fitness center. People go to health clubs or athletic clubs for different reasons. They might just go for the social aspects, or perhaps they're elite athletes, but they're all going to go for different reasons. In addition, selling experience is very important. And by selling experience, what I mean is, well, are they there for the primary aspect of the game, which is perhaps to watch the competition? Are you going to go to a Spurs game to watch elite basketball? Or are you going to go to the Spurs game to watch someone shoot a a a um, a, um, a t-shirt gun, or maybe to get a giveaway, or to be given thundersticks, or to watch cheerleaders? So the different aspects, whether it's the primary aspect, the steak, or the sizzle, the ancillary, are going to help to drive consumers. It could also be that a facility manager could try to market food. There are some facilities that will sell tickets with all-you-can-eat aspects, and that's one way to bring in new demographics. Um, in terms of facility marketing, a facility is going to have both tangible and intangible assets. And that tangible asset could be floor space or the location, but the intangible assets might be the affiliation with the core anchor tenant, the tenant that is participating in the premier sports league, and it has a large following. Or you could choose to develop new relationships or with different entities. Now, attracting anchor tenants can be difficult because of the cost of that potential arrangement or the fickle nature of tenants that have larger bargaining power, which could lead to free agency, leaving that facility. Of course, you could also market your facility by attracting marquee premier events through your booking department in a facility. And you can also develop strong relationships with different promoters, such as Live Nation, which would help to funnel in different different acts. The textbook also talks about sales. And sales is really the process of, of identifying potential purchasers and communicating the value of purchasing a ticket or purchasing some sort of element from the inventory of the facility, whether it's a ticket or a sponsorship, and consummating that transaction. And as a a facility manager, a facility has a lot to offer in terms of sales. You can sell tickets, you can sell luxury boxes, sponsorships, concessions, naming rights to a facility, or even pouring rights. So all of these aspects are going to fluctuate depending on the perceived value of that facility. Of course, luxury suites are going to be one of the most valuable inventory of a facility. And then tickets are probably going to be the cheapest. And if it's single game tickets or perhaps season tickets, the price is going to differ. A facility could also use dynamic pricing that's based off of the supply and demand of that game on a given day. Pouring rights are also something that a facility can sell. This graphic was taken from one of the most recent surveys of soft drink pouring rights within professional sports facilities. You can see that Pepsi is winning by a small margin over Coke. And really, there are just numerous opportunities for sponsorship at facilities depending on the space. So you're only limited by the space in your facility, and a certain amount of creativity is helpful with this. And by creativity, I mean maximizing your space. So you could go so far as to even advertise on less likely areas like within the restrooms. So in summary, the sport industry relies on marketing to generate revenues through sales. It's not going to, a facility is not going to generate revenue just by opening its doors. Instead, marketers must use the 4 Ps and proper research in order to identify the target demographics through segmentation and to really attract those demographics through creative marketing. And once those strategies have been developed and identified, a strong sales team can help maximize the sales opportunities, whether it's sponsorships or sales or other creative methods, to sell both the steak and the sizzle. So hopefully this was a helpful unit, and I look forward to continuing the conversation offline.